$2,000 monthly stimulus check? That's what they said, and it's showing up in the headlines once again. I have all the details for you in this video, so let's get into it right away. But if you haven't done so yet, or if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button right down below the video so I can keep you updated each and every day with all of this information that continues changing very rapidly. I know that it's very confusing out there trying to determine what is actually going on, but don't worry, that is my dedication to you right here in this community, is to do all of the research on your behalf every single day, distill it all down into these short videos, which I deliver a few times so that you can understand the latest updates and stay tuned with everything going on that's ultimately going to impact all of us right here in this community. So again, thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. Hit that subscribe button right down below the video if you haven't done so yet, and let's get into this right away. All right, so let's quickly talk about what is showing up in the headlines once again when it comes to a $2,000 monthly stimulus check. Now, in order to do this, we actually need to rewind back into early 2020. The reason for that is because some of these people are actually being pointed out as far as what they said back in early 2020 and saying, hey, you didn't follow through with what you said you were going to do. So this is actually very important, especially now that many of us right here in this community are calling on Congress to issue additional stimulus checks, especially a $2,000 check, and even better, monthly checks would be way, way better right now, right? So let's talk through this and actually discuss what was actually mentioned and what I'm finding in the headlines while I'm doing my research. So, way back in May of 2020, Vice President Harris, who actually wasn't even the vice president at the time, we can more like say candidate Harris, at the time sent out a tweet calling on $2,000 monthly stimulus checks ongoing through the duration of the entire pandemic, plus an additional 3 months afterward, because she said rent is still due and people are going hungry. Well, here's what's interesting about this. At the time, like I said, it was at the time candidate Harris. However, now she is Vice President Harris. Therefore, many people are starting to call her out right now saying, hey, remember back in May of 2020 when you told us you were going to propose a $2,000 monthly stimulus check through the entire duration of the pandemic plus an additional 3 months afterward? Where did that go? We haven't seen it yet since you guys have been in office. Now, here's what's interesting about it. As with everything going on right now and the Build Back Better agenda kind of flopping around right now, not really getting any traction, not really getting anything done as of right now, and it's still up in the air if this whole thing is going to pass, and all of a sudden this resurgence of the new COVID variant Omicron and everything going on right now, people are starting to reach out once again, calling her out on these tweets that were sent out back in May of 2020. Now here's what's interesting. According to everything going on right now, the pandemic is still underway. We're still technically in the pandemic, right? They have not called it off and said the pandemic is over yet. So it's not. So technically, if this would have been approved, we would still be getting $2,000 stimulus checks right here, right now. Actually, what's interesting about this is I saw some different comments about this, and some people were pointing out, hey, if this would have been rolled out right away after that tweet was sent out, we would be owed about $40,000 as of right now as a result of $2,000 ongoing monthly stimulus checks. However, if this would have been implemented right away when Biden and Harris were put in office, we'd be owed a little over $20,000. Could you imagine what that would have done for all of us at this point? Looking back to, let's just say, January or February of 2021 and getting $2,000 ongoing checks from then until now, it'd be over $20,000. What would that do to our lifestyles right now? Would all of us still be sitting here wondering, when are we going to get our next little payment? When are we going to get our next meal? How are we going to pay our rent? How are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to put gas in the car? I don't think anybody would need to have that conversation these days. Yes, it would probably cause more inflation, but at the same time, all of us would probably have an additional $2,000 coming in every single month, helping us out with even more inflation, right? So, kind of interesting. Here's what I found though. While doing research on all of this, I came across this a couple different times. This is showing up once again. So people are starting to find ways to kind of reach out and say, hey, you know, we're struggling right now. We need additional stimulus. And once again, calling out Vice President Harris on these tweets from way back in May of 2020, calling on ongoing monthly stimulus checks in the amount of $2,000 for the entire duration of the pandemic, plus an additional 3 months afterward. Could you imagine what this would have done to our lives? Wow. I mean, seriously. It would be a completely different landscape, especially right now as we see this massive resurgence of the COVID variant, Omicron, and everything going on right now. All of these, just literally everything that's going on right now, with an additional $2,000 hitting our bank accounts. That would have been pretty much life-changing for tons of people going on right now, right? So, kind of interesting that we're starting to see this pop up once again. Here's what else is interesting about this whole situation. This $2,000 petition, remember that one? I've talked about it a couple times over the last couple days here. That is just under 3 million signatures. I actually just looked at it a short time ago. It's a little over, or it's just right around 7,000 signatures away from the 3 million mark that they wanted to hit. Now, here's what's interesting about that as well. The petition calling on $2,000 stimulus checks is also ongoing. $2,000 stimulus checks is what is being called on in that petition. So, what we need to do is kind of watch this whole situation because, as I mentioned, the Build Back Better agenda, otherwise known as the reconciliation bill, has done nothing. It's just sitting there, right? They wanted to have it passed before Christmas. Did it happen? No, not even close. At this time, we don't even know when this thing may actually pass, if it's going to pass at all. Chuck Schumer has said that they're going to bring it to the floor and hold a vote on it early after the new year. However, we already know that there are some Democrats who are not on board with this thing. Well, it's likely not going to pass. With the first round of votes anyway. It may come back and be amended, and they might make some amendments to it, changes to it, and they might do something to the package to make it a little bit more appealing to those Democrats who are opposing it right now. But as of right now, we can anticipate the Build Back Better agenda is probably not going to pass, at least with its first round of voting, maybe with its second or third, who knows, but we won't know that until it actually happens. However, at this time, we do know that Democrats are looking for a win. And why do I say Democrats? Again, if you've been watching for a while now, I simply do not take sides with my videos. However, we do need to point this out because Democrats are in control. That's why they're looking for a win, is because they control the House, they control the Senate, and they control the presidency. So they are in control of everything right now. So they're looking for a big win right now. How can they do that? Well, a lot of people are strategizing, figuring out what can we do to win. Well, we have some people calling out right now, like Pramila Jayapal, calling on the president to move forward with executive orders on pretty much everything that he possibly can in the Build Back Better agenda to get some wins under the belt of Democrats going forward into the election cycle for the midterm elections, which is pretty much starting very, very soon here, right? The midterm elections are just a few months out later in 2022. So we've got to watch this. But anyway, when I came across this information about this $2,000 monthly stimulus check tweet that was sent back in May of 2020 from Vice President Harris, who, like I said, candidate Harris at the time, kind of interesting how people are still eating that one up, saying, where's the money? We need the money. You owe us about $40,000 at this point, right? Yeah, kind of interesting how this is coming up once again. And here we are. The $2,000 stimulus check petition still gaining signatures every single day. People reaching out, wondering where they're going to get additional relief. It just seems like the writing is on the wall. People are wondering, where are we going to get some support? When are we going to get that support? And when are they going to follow through with what they actually promised with us when they were campaigning? Well, this technically wasn't a promise, but pretty close to it, right? When she sent out that tweet saying she's going to propose a $2,000 monthly stimulus check. Did we ever see that? Well, no, did we? That's again, we could look that up a little bit further, but I think some of us could come out right now and argue that that probably technically wasn't formally proposed by her anyway. Now, there were those few letters that were sent out from House of Representatives. There were 56 members out of the House who wrote a letter, sent it out to the president, calling on him for a $2,000 stimulus check. There was also the 21 senators who wrote up a very similar letter, sending it out to the president and, again, the vice president, calling on a $2,000 stimulus check. And then, of course, the 6 members out of the House Ways and Means Committee, again, drafting a letter, sending it over to the president, calling on additional stimulus checks and stabilizers in the next stimulus package. So, over 80 members calling on the administration for additional stimulus checks. So, Kind of interesting how we have all of these influential people calling out for stimulus checks, but yet we haven't really seen them yet, right? So we've got to watch all this very closely. And again, nothing has been approved yet as of right now, but I just wanted to point this out because when I continue to do research on this, I continue to come across more and more information that continues popping up almost every single day talking about stimulus checks and kind of bringing that whole thing back up again. I don't know, seems a little bit interesting. If this wasn't going to happen anymore, then why do we continue to see more information about it? I don't know, seems weird to me, but you got to watch all this stuff very closely because you never know when something's going to change, when something may be announced, when something may pop up or be proposed, when somebody may recognize that finally that Americans need support right now. Yeah, so anyway, you got to watch all this very closely. Anyway, I wanted to share this with you because I just found it while I was doing my research and I thought, very interesting, and I want to share this with the community. So, hope this helps you out. Again, make sure to hit that subscribe button right down below the video. If you haven't done so yet, share this video with your friends, family, and social media, or go back and check out any of the other nearly 2,000 videos right here on the channel. And I will continue to keep you posted with any new information that I find while I continue to do my research. And ultimately, we're going to continue doing everything we possibly can to get the attention of Congress and continue reminding them that we do need additional stimulus checks, permanent raises to benefits, or anything else we can possibly get from them, as this is a really tough time right now. So again, thanks so much for joining me. Subscribe down below. Go back and check out some of the other videos here on the channel, and I will catch you again later.